Welcome. We've spent a lot of time on the theory of good governance, right? But the real question is, how does it actually play out in the real world? Well, in this explainer, we're jumping right into some amazing success stories with ISO 37000-2021. We're going to see how a few very different organizations took these principles and used them to get some truly incredible results. Let's get into it.
So here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll talk about why these real-world stories are so important. Then, I'll introduce you to 4 totally different organizations and the big problems they were facing. We'll dive into how they solved them, the tangible benefits they saw, and then wrap it all up with the key lessons you can take away for your own work.
Okay, first up, why do these stories even matter? This is all about closing that gap, between what's written in a standard and what actually works in the trenches. And that leads to this question, doesn't it? Why bother with case studies when you have the standard itself? Well, think of it this way. A blueprint for a house is great, but seeing the actual finished house, that's a whole different ballgame. This right here is the real why. Case studies prove that these principles aren't just academic ideas. They actually work. They give us a practical blueprint, not just theory. They show us that good governance isn't just about avoiding trouble, it's a real strategic advantage. And honestly, they're inspiring. They show us what's possible. Best of all, they teach us how to catch problems before they become full-blown crises. All right, let's get to our case studies. We're looking at 4 completely different organizations here. From finance to tech to nonprofits, they each had a unique challenge, but they all found success using the same core framework.
And here's our cast of characters. We've got Zenith Financial, a big bank that needed to earn back trust. Innovate Tech, a startup getting ready for a huge IPO. Metro Utility, a public service trying to modernize. And Global Impact, an NGO trying to make every single dollar count. 4 different worlds, 4 very different problems. And now for the really good stuff, the solutions and the benefits. This is where we see how these organizations turn their challenges into massive wins and what they actually achieved. Let's start with Zenith Financial. Picture a giant global bank, operating in over 50 countries. Their decentralized model was causing chaos, inconsistent policies, compliance slip-ups, and it was really starting to erode public and regulatory trust. They were definitely under a microscope.
So what do? They started right at the very top. The CEO and the board made it their personal mission. They even created a brand new chief governance officer role. But here's the genius move. They tied executive bonuses directly to governance performance. Talk about putting your money where your mouth is. When people's pay is on the line, things change fast.
And you can see the results right here. A 35% improvement in internal audit findings in just 2 years. That is a massive shift. This directly led to better ESG ratings. That's how investors judge a company's social and governance health. And it absolutely restored investor confidence. Okay, let's switch gears completely and talk about Innovatech, a fast-growing startup. They had a classic problem. How do you put in all the formal rules you need to go public without crushing the creative, fast-moving culture that made you a success to begin with? Their solution was just brilliant, and it was all about how they talked about it. They didn't frame governance as red tape or a roadblock. Instead, they called it a shield for innovation, something that protects the company and allows it to grow safely. They even built things like privacy by design right into their day-to-day work.
The result? A home run IPO. And here's the kicker. The institutional investors, the ones with the deep pockets, they specifically said the company's strong governance was a huge reason they invested. They saw it as proof of maturity and a sign that their money was safe. Next up, Metro Utility, a big, state-owned utility. They were dealing with years of public criticism for being slow, secretive, and just plain out of touch. Their challenge was to break through all that bureaucracy and rebuild trust with the people they served.
Their approach was really creative. They got that for a public utility, value means more than just profits. So they created what they called a public value scorecard. This tool didn't just track financial performance. It measured things like citizen satisfaction, social impact, and environmental responsibility.
And would you look at that? It worked. A 25% jump in public satisfaction scores. This shows a direct line between fixing their governance and actually winning back the community's trust. They became more open, more responsive, and more respected.
Our last case is Global Impact, an NGO. They were doing incredible work, but they were growing so fast that their informal, volunteer-led way of doing things just couldn't keep up. They were at serious risk of losing donor confidence and mismanaging the very funds meant to help people.
And just like our tech startup, their solution was all in the framing. They got rid of the stuffy term corporate governance and started calling it ethical stewardship. That one simple language change was huge. It instantly connected all these new rules and procedures directly to their mission. It showed everyone that being accountable was a tool to help more people.
The result was fantastic, a 15% increase in donor retention. It's simple, really. When donors saw this new level of professionalism, their confidence shot up. They knew their money was in good hands, and that made them want to keep giving. Okay, so we've looked at 4 very different organizations with 4 very different success stories. What are the common threads here? Let's distill this down into the key lessons that you can actually use. Here's your playbook, boiled down to 4 crucial takeaways. Number 1, just like Zenith, it has to start at the top. You need that unwavering commitment from your leaders. 2, like Innovate Tech, you have to frame governance as a strategic tool, a shield that helps you succeed, not a burden that slows you down. 3, like our utility and NGO, you have to connect governance directly to your core mission or what you define as value. And finally, number 4, don't be afraid to invest in the right people and the right tools to make it all happen.
So what's the bottom line here? We've seen undeniable proof that good governance isn't just a cost center. It's an engine for real, measurable results, no matter what industry you're in. The question really isn't if you should focus on governance, but how you're going to do it. So looking at these lessons, what's the one thing you could start tomorrow to accelerate your own governance journey?